Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jessica Ward King, also known as the Stigma Crusher. And here on this channel, we deal with issues of mental health and mental illness from my twin perspectives as a person with lived experience of bipolar 2 disorder, as well as a person with a PhD in experimental psychology. Does that sound like your jam? We would love to have you. Please go ahead and subscribe, and if you would like to be notified each and every week when I post, hit that notifications bell as well. Remember to comment, I'll always answer, share and often, and like as you can. Well, I guess with that, it is time to start stigma crushing for this week. So, hi guys. Anybody that was here last week will remember that I am on vacay 2 weeks this time, 2 weeks later in the summer, and I am experimenting with the whole vacation process. It is not one that I often take up. It is not often one that I look to as something that I'm going to find enjoyable. And this time around, I have decided that I better learn something from it. Whether that be good, bad, or ugly, I had better figure out something that I'm learning from this experience that I'm having. And so what I wanted to talk to today is what I have learned so far from adversity. So from those experiences in my life that haven't quite gone the way I had hoped. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about them from the two perspectives. One being this particular experience of being on vacation. And in particular, the experience of going camping for the first time as a family. So that, yeah, we're getting there. And the other one being from my experience of depression, because I kind of, I'm toying with it, right? So I'm equating the two and saying, well, what's similar and what's different? And so that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to have 5 learnings from adversity and see where we get to. Okay, so the first thing I learned from adversity, particularly during camping, is that it seems bad, and it is bad, but it's not necessarily as bad as it seems. So we went camping, as I mentioned, as a family for the very first time by ourselves. We'd been with other families kind of in little groups before, and the real big advantage to those is you don't have to have everything you need because somebody else will have the coffee maker or fire starter that you didn't bring because you didn't know. And also there are other people that are around to help you make a fire. Not as easy as it seems. Or help you to pitch your tent even, or even just find a good way, a good direction in which to pitch your tent. All things that kind of eluded me until we got there, just us, and we had to kind of figure it out. And so we went, and the first thing that happened is that it was raining cats and dogs. In fact, we later found out that at that time in the site that we were at, there was a tornado warning in effect. So it was really raining, and we had not brought the kinds of foods you might eat for dinner that didn't have to be cooked in a fire, because in our minds we were cooking in a fire. And luckily I had convinced my spouse to bring a barbecue with us, just a little tiny barbecue with us. I said, just in case we can't get a fire lit, we'll have something to cook with. And so when we got there, it was 3 or 4 o'clock. We managed to get a very wet tent up. We got some tarps over it, and then we thought, oh God, we have nothing to cook with. Managed to get an old umbrella out of the back of the car and stood over this little tiny barbecue with an umbrella, and the easiest thing we had brought to cook, hot dogs. So fortunately, supper was saved, but the whole idea of we're going to get there, we're going to go swimming, we're going to check out the hiking, none of that transpired. We all just plonked into that tent, and well, luckily I was able to teach my family how to play Uno, because How come they don't know how to play Uno already? So that's how it started. And that was adversity for us. It wasn't what I had planned. It wasn't what I had in my mind or what I had kind of sold to my son. But it also made everything that we had to do at that point, find a way to orient the tent, put this tent up. We'd never put the tent up before. Rookie mistake as well. And getting the tarps up, which we didn't really quite know how to do. And so that was our piece of adversity. And it seemed bad at the time. It was bad. It was wet. It was messy. It was not ideal. But when we kind of hunkered down with this, Uno game, the simplest of games, and, on our little sea of mattresses inside the tent, actually a smile broke out on my son's face and on my wife's, and they were having fun. And it was what camping was supposed to be, even though it was raining cats and dogs. And we did manage to get ourselves down to bed and get a decent night's sleep so that we could hopefully enjoy the next day. And so, it wasn't as bad as we thought. And I was really, my depression was playing right into this, that this is going to be a disaster and this is going to be the worst thing that ever happened. And it didn't turn out to be so. And so even when, as we're trying to get the tent back, together and into the car to leave, it started to rain cats and dogs as well. I kind of was like, we'll have to dry it out when we get it home. At least we'll get some practice putting it up and putting it down for next time. With regards to my depression, I find this one a little bit harder to learn from. And you're going to see that's a theme. I find it harder to learn from these pieces of adversity that I come to via depression. So it seems bad. Yep, it is bad. Yep, it's not as bad as it seems. Isn't it though? I do find that more difficult. But if I'm going to try to take this learning through, I can imagine for myself, and it's such a cliche, I realize, but the raining of depression and how it ruins everything, and it's not what you thought, and it's not what you'd planned, and it's not what you'd sold to other people either. But in the end, for example, for myself, I'm able to continue to work. I'm able to continue to, play with my son to, maybe a lesser extent than I'd like, but it's still there. I'm able to do chores, again, to a lesser extent, but still I'm able to live some life while I am depressed. So, really, I guess, is it as bad as it seems? Is it as bad as it could be? I guess not. Not really. Not if tornado weather wasn't, then how could this be? The next learning I have, the decisions that you make during adversity can make you or break you. So the camping example I have for this is the direction in which we chose to orient our tent. And it came down to, we drove in to our site, our allotted site, and there were a couple of different ways we could do it. And ultimately, laziness got to us, and we just put the tent up in the spot that was closest to the car, kind of easiest for us at that moment. We put it there. We did not consider that there was a significant gradient. So the hill we were lying on, we wanted to be laying one way, well, we were going to end up with a rush of blood to the head that way. And so, the way that we oriented our tent, it kind of made a difference in how we used it moving forward. And so I see that time of just being lazy and, of course, it being adverse situations. So laziness kind of tends to win sometimes. That was a decision that we could have made differently, and it would have changed the way that we enjoyed our tenting experience. With depression, I think There are a lot of decisions that I make that might not be the best ones. So it could be daily decisions to, whether to do chores or not. And whether that's a good decision because I'm tired and I should take the time I need, or whether that's laziness and something that really I would do better if I had a routine that I did, and feel better about myself if I was able to accomplish my daily tasks that more than what I do now, which is not do them because I'm tired, but then feel terrible about not doing them and horrible that my wife has to do them instead, and so on and so forth. And so those decisions that I make in the midst of feeling that adversity can sink me. All right, my third learning is that when adversity lifts for even just a moment, you've got to pivot immediately. And so this was, we wake up the next morning after our, completely sodden experience of getting the tent up. We wake up, it's still raining. We still can't get a fire started. It is still messy and wet everywhere. But as the sun dawns, it was the moment to pivot completely and just say, we may have been doing some adversity here at the beginning, but now is the time to enjoy every second of this and go into the water and go on the hiking trails and make a fire and have that wonderful roasted meat, and all of those things. And I found that when I was camping and in my depression, here they are in lockstep, I find it difficult to pivot. I get really down in the adversity and how horrible things are and how horrible things are always going to be. And I find it difficult to go, okay, now's my time. And I'm not really sure what to do about it other than what happened in the camping scenario, which was that my family pivoted and dragged me along with them. And reasonably quickly into that process, I was able to get into the fun with them and get into, doing camping stuff with them. But if it wasn't for them, I think I would have sat there stuck in my own mire for quite some time. The fourth one is, it feels like you're victim to adversity. But I have been wondering whether maybe I'm not, or whether you are not, whether you're actually a player at the same table, if you want to go with a Vegas kind of reference. Is it the fact that adversity really victimizes me in my experiences? Or is it that there's adversity and there's me, and we're dancing and we're trying to figure out how to navigate those things, and that sometimes maybe you can win at the table, you can win the card game, you can win the bet, and I think that my experience that best kind of illustrates this was the second time that we were trying to clear the tent out, get the tarps off, get everything down from camping, and the rain just started to pour, and I knew that was going to mean that we were going to have to get the tent all into its bag and then bring it home and wait for the next nice day and put it up again so we could get it dry again, and so on and so forth. And that goes for the tarps and everything too. And I was really getting quite down and feeling really quite sorry for myself. And then I kind of said to myself, and I was like, you know what, Rain? You have dogged me this entire time. And let's not do this. Let's not have it be like this. And so I thought, you know what, like as I'd mentioned, we'll get another chance to put the tent up and we could use the experience. And you know what, for next time, it can't possibly be any worse. We're going to be better off than we are now. So here we are learning, figuring out how to do this, and we'll just be better campers for the next go around. And I kind of felt a little bit empowered by that. And that's not often an experience I have with my depression. I don't often feel like I'm at an equal stake player. I feel like it very much victimizes me. But learning from this, I think to myself, you know what? I'm dealing right now with a medication that I'm on that has the worst side effects. Like, I've had a lot of medications, and I don't think I've ever had side effects quite like these ones. And I was feeling very victimized by it. But instead, if I kind of think about it as I'm making a decision for my health about a medication that might be worth dealing with these side effects. And if it's not, I'll make that decision with my doctor and we'll try something else. But I don't need to feel like I'm victimized by this. I can feel very much like I am making the decisions, calling the shots, and like I said, I will call different shots when it becomes necessary to do so. So yeah, that almost sits right with me. I mean, I'm saying it with a smile on my face, like I totally believe it 100%. I'm not sure that I do, but I'm determined to learn from all of this. So I am trying it on for good measure. The last learning I have is that it will, of course, end. I held on to that belief during the camping trip some of the times when I was really just not feeling it, really having a tough time with the adversity that we were having. But it will eventually end. It was a limited camping time. We knew exactly when we had to camp, and when we had to, get out. And so it was going to end one way or another, and we were going to learn from it or not. But it will eventually end, and most adversity will. I know with my depression, again, I struggle. I'm like, it will end because I know logically that it will. And I know logically that taking medication just tries to hasten its end, but that naturally that it will itself end at some point. And that I have to hold on to that sometimes, just knowing that it's not going to be like this forever. The one thing I did want to note, though, is that it doesn't always just happily end on a good note for everyone. That being said, I suppose for camping, but more I'm thinking for depression, is that sometimes it ends for a person before the depression ends. And that's a reality. But my psychiatrist always says, that it is not a matter of if, but of when it is going to end. And for myself, I know the ways that I can keep myself safe from suicidality. And I hope that others do as well, know that they have resources they can tap into. Every small town and large have distress center, crisis lines, folks that you can reach out to just to get through those worst hours. And so it will eventually end. We hope it will end well and positively for everyone. In terms of my camping, it ended. It ended. It ended with a lot of learnings, as you're hearing through my narrative here. My depression is, this particular episode is yet to end. It doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. And if I'd be lying if I said that I totally believe the idea that it's going to end one way or another. My psychiatrist says that, and I always just roll my eyes like, really? Will it end though? But again, logically, from my learnings, from my own degree, I know it will. My depression will. My camping escapades will. And so, yeah. That's what I've been trying to learn through my camping fiasco, you might say. I've been trying to learn that and applying it to my mental illness and applying it in a way that I can try on the learnings and see if they fit. I'm still not 100% sure yet, but things are starting to make a little bit more sense as I think about them. And I do hope that I can take these learnings into my own mental illness recovery, hopefully. All right, so those are my thoughts for today. For all of you that have been with me on my camping journey, we made it out the other end. We're planning to go again, so don't worry, the whole idea is not sunk. And please remember to like and to share widely. There's lots of folks that I'm sure would fit in very well here on our little channel. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Stigma Crusher.